Now, when you do you deal mostly in hard money.
Yeah, we do hard money, or more commonly used private financing.
Okay, what are the difference? What do those two things mean?
Really, they're synonymous.
Okay.
But hard money has been given a bad reputation over time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think of hard money, and you think of borrowing from the mafia, and Guido's going to come and beat you in if you don't pay back.
Okay.
So, but it's essentially private financing.
Okay.
So it's where a private individual, Joe, Bob, Sally, it has extra money and doesn't want to earn the 1% or the 4% that they could in a CD.
Yep.
And they would prefer to earn 11 or 12% and have their investment backed up by a piece of real estate.
Yep.
So if the borrower stopped making their payments, worst case scenario, they can get the property back to recoup their investment. So it's called private because it's coming from a private person. Yeah.
Okay, and have those rates changed with the interest rate change? Have you guys changed, like, I don't know, your investors and the guys who work with you, are those rates changing kind of like in line with the Fed interest rate as well?
So here's the comparison. So year and a half, 2 years ago, the interest rates were at a record low through a bank. You could get a loan at like 2.5%. A 15-year loan, you could get 1.5%. You know, it's like crazy low. Right now, the average is 6.8. A month and a half ago, it hit its peak at just over 8%.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So it's gone down.
It's gone down for the last 2 months. Yeah.
Did the Fed actually reduce the rate?
They've reduced it just slightly, tiny bit, but the banks are willing to accept less of a profit margin to, keep things rolling.
Okay.
But the Feds have decreased just a tiny bit.
Okay.
So they've gone from potentially 1 or 2% up to 8%.
Yes.
So that's like a 6.5% difference.
Yes. Which is like a quadruple, essentially.
Yeah. So with private financing, our average was around 10%.
Yep.
And now our average is around 11.5%. So we've gone up 1.5%.
Right. But and even in percent, like in relative percentages, that's like a 15% increase. That would have been from 2% to 2.3. Right. I mean, like in comparison value, right? In total points, cool. But that's pretty low, relatively speaking. So right now, in comparison, it's the best time to do the private financing because the Fed wants all this money, all this stuff, and so you can do a hard money and or private financing relatively easy.
So here's a comparison. So we work with a lot of different brokers who do private as well as conventional financing. And I had a conventional broker bring me a loan to get done with private financing because the program that they had for the borrower was like an FHA loan for a primary.
Is that first-time homeowner? Or what is that?
This one wasn't a first-time homeowner.
What does FHA mean? I thought it was a
Federal Housing Administration.
Okay.
One of the main companies, Fannie, Freddie, FHA. So they got the borrower approved. It was going to cost the borrower 7.75% interest, and they were going to cost them the loan fee was 2% to get
one
that.
time. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then their average length of time to get a loan done through FHA is 30 to 60 days.
Yep.
This person needed to close quickly because of the circumstances. So they came to us, and we were able to get it done in about a week and a half. Because private can move fast. We don't have all these regulations and underwriting that just keeps going on forever that you see with banks. So about a week and a half, and I think the interest rate was around 10 and about 2.5 points. So it was
2.5 points for the origination.
Yeah, instead of 2. So 2. So it cost half a point more, and then a little bit higher on the interest rate. Instead of 7.75, it was about 10.5.
That's actually pretty close. I mean, that's like 2.5 points. I mean, again, for some people that could be a lot. I mean, and technically it's still a decent amount of money, but so if you're closing or not closing,
when it comes down to private financing, it's all about the it's a math problem. Okay, so your monthly payment is going to be this, and this is what it's going to cost. Is this monthly payment and this cost worth what you're trying to accomplish? And more times than not, it is. You find your dream home. Okay, so you can either not get that dream home because you're with an institution that's going to take 2 or 3 months to get you a loan. And why would the seller wait for that when he's got other people or you pay a little bit higher to get in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, maybe it costs you an extra $10,000. Okay, so instead of buying your house for $400,000, it costs you $410,000.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you're in it, as soon as you own it, start working with your bank, and then in 2 months you refinance into a lower interest rate loan.
Right. So what's the average length of time for these like private financing? Is it, do you have any like prepayment kind of penalties, or like, I mean, of course I'm sure it varies, but how does it generally work?
It varies whether it's a consumer use loan, so you're getting the loan to buy your own primary residence, or you're paying off personal debt or getting your kid through college, compared with a business use loan, pulling funds out to buy a rental property or for capital for your business or paying off business debts. So there's different sets of regulations that have to be followed depending on the purpose.
Okay.
So a consumer purpose loan will not have any prepayment penalty.
Because that's not allowed, I guess.
Correct.
Is that the idea? Oh, interesting.
So a lot of times we do what's called a bridge loan. They're buying their primary residence and they're using private financing to get into it. It's particularly useful in a competitive market.
Yes. Hey, I'll close in 15 days.
Yeah. You want a 1 week close? Fine, we'll do it. You 2 week close? Great. You can come in, let's say somebody through their favorite bank comes in at $400,000 with a 2 month close. Bank financing.
Yep.
And then somebody comes in, private financing, 1 week close, $390,000. You'll have your money in 1 week.
Yeah. That's a feeling. Because also a 2 month, what happens, and I know in these kind of markets, a lot of times they'll go into the 60-day one, it doesn't get funded, and they've lost 60 days of time. That's interest they're paying, property, whatever, all the stuff that they're paying every month with no income. And then they have to go again and spend more time. So yes, closing fast is huge in any market. I mean, in any type of scenario.
Yeah. So sellers prefer all cash or private financing for that reason, because we don't mess around. We say we're going to close the loan, then we close the loan. There's no messing around. So that's on consumer.
Yep.
And then on consumer, so you buy the house like this. Great. Now you own it. 1 month later, you refinance with, Chase Bank or B of A or whoever, your favorite credit union. And now you're into your 7% instead of your 11%.
And you only paid for, you only had it for 3 months or whatever.
Yeah. Or 1 month.
Oh, 1 month. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.